Thanks for doing this today. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Of course, like the rest of the world, I'm a big fan of Stranger Things and a big fan of your work, especially this season, which has just been incredible.
Thank
Um,
you.
where did it all start for you? How did you get into acting?
I guess it started when I was around 7 or 8 years old. I grew up in like a town outside of Houston, Texas, and I didn't really know anyone that was acting or anything like that, but me and my brother just had this fascination with musical theater specifically. And we started doing community theater and then kept on doing that. At a certain point, we did regional theater at this amazing regional theater in Houston, Texas, and started training there, taking classes and stuff like that, and did a few shows there. And then eventually just shot our shot at Broadway and sent in a few audition tapes, and I think took a trip to the city at one point to go to a few callbacks or something, and both ended up booking shows around the same time, which kind of required the whole family to move to the East Coast so that we could do it, which was, very, very supportive of them. So wouldn't be here without their support. And also, like, if it weren't for me and my brother kind of being in it together, and like the two of us just kind of pursuing these passions.
And was there a movie or series or anything that you were passionate about that made you want to be an actress?
I guess like my earliest inspiration was probably Aileen Quinn and Annie, and like the 80s version of Annie with Carol Burnett and Bernadette Peters. Because it was just, it was girls my age singing and dancing and acting and doing everything that I wanted to do. So I would watch that movie on repeat all the time. And that was, I guess, the kind of like the earliest like spark that I had, just watching that and like reenacting the musical numbers from that. I don't know, something clicked there.
So how did you become a part of Stranger Things? Were you a fan before, or is it something that came to you, kind of more naturally? Or
Yeah, I guess was it the fall of like 2016 when it first came out or something like that? I don't know, whatever summer or season it was that the first season premiered. Everyone was talking about it. Stranger Things was like the big thing. And I was like, okay, fine, like I'll watch it. And I was 14. I was like just starting my freshman year of high school. And I watched it. And then about a week later, my manager sent me a breakdown for a role that they were auditioning girls for season 2. And I'll never forget just like reading those sides and reading the breakdown about this character, and just I feeling like, I don't know, like I just had such a good feeling about it. And I was like, this just feels right. And I really, really, really want to do this. So the audition process started, and I think I went in about like 4 or 5 times doing the same sides. And at a certain point, they even thought that I was like too old for it at one point. So it was almost like not going to happen, but then it did. So that was, thank God. Yeah.
what was it like when you got that call, when you had the confirmation that you had the part?
It was just, I think there's like a video somewhere that I will never share with anyone because it's so embarrassing. But like when the Duffer Brothers called me, I'm on the phone and like I have like the goofiest smile on my face, and it was just kind of this really amazing moment where I was just kind of I was just like really proud of myself, because it was something that I saw and I really wanted and I worked for, and to have it happen was like, just, I don't know, it was such an amazing moment. But then also afterwards, it just kind of settling in like, wow, like Stranger Things, like that it's a big show. Like things are going to look, I guess, like a little different. Like things are going to kind of take a turn. But just the overall emotion was just excitement, and I just couldn't wait to like get to Atlanta and meet the cast and film. So yeah.
And what was it like being with Max, being the new kid on the block, and especially in an established show that was so successful? It was really, it seemed like it was iconic from the moment it started. It's like everyone was watching it. Were you nervous? Was it, what was that like?
Yeah, I think I was more so excited than anything, like leading up to kind of the first day of shooting. But on the official first day, once I got there and I was like in my costume and I was like, oh my God, like this is happening. Like this, I'm doing this. That was kind of when like the intimidation factor kind of set in, and I felt like a little bit nervous. But seeing kind of, the other cast members that were my age, seeing how much fun they were having and how relaxed and like low stakes everything was it was really nice to kind of have their support, because I was losing my mind.
What made you more nervous, the first day of Stranger Things or the first day on Broadway?
Oh, I guess it's a different kind of nervous. With film and television, there's room to mess up. You don't want to mess up, but if you do, it's not the end of the world. In live theater, if you mess up, it feels like the end of the world. So, but I guess when I did Broadway, I was so little, and when you're little, things are just a lot like, I don't know. There's less nerves involved and more just like excitement. And I think it was kind of similar with Stranger Things. It was just like a solid blend.
What do you think of Max as a character? Are you are you similar to her in any ways?
I feel like the ways that we're similar are kind of it's hard. You don't really see, like, you don't see them at first. I think our outward personalities are pretty different. But at this point, it's hard to kind of tell in what ways are we similar, or in what ways am I putting myself into the character, and kind of like there's blurred lines in a sense. The main thing that I've kind of pinpointed is like, I think we both have walls up, but they just look a little bit different. I think we're kind of it's hard to gain our trust, but with Max, she makes it very obvious. With me, it's a little bit different. You come to find it out like a little bit later, but we're closed off in our own individual ways, I guess.
It's got to be an advantage of working in television for multiple seasons. You really get to explore that character, and like you said, kind of blur that line. Do you feel you're bringing a lot more to her now than you were, on day one?
Yeah, for sure. I think also that just kind of like comes with age and experience, and it's been really fascinating to watch all of the young actors on this show develop their skills and their characters. But for Max, I think season 4 was like a real turning point. I guess it was 17 when we started filming, and then we took a break for COVID, and I came back and I was 18. So yeah, and then starting the show at 14, there's definitely just like differences in the performance and kind of like a level of confidence that I have on set versus when I was a nervous 14-year-old on a very intimidating show. So yeah, I guess, but I have, with season 4, I definitely learned a lot more about her, just kind of exploring how she handles grief and pain.
Yeah, there's a lot to explore there with the character, and it's there's that one scene that had me choked up when you could see it in your eyes, the tears are welling up, that your fate, and no one else around you does, and it's like, man, it gives me the chills even talking about it. It was just incredible, and I thought there's like the depth they've added to Max this season is really had to be a joy to work with the scripts and just being part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And everyone's talking about episode 4, of course. Incredible. And again, something that seems like it's got a life of its own. It just keeps going and going. The song, I think, is number 4 in the top 100 right now. I'm like, how does that happen? And my daughters are listening to it. Their friends are listening to it. I'm like, yeah, I listened to that when I was a kid. What was it like shooting that? What was it like bringing that together?
It was really wild to see the final cut, because it starts with the letter at Billy's grave, and then it just goes on for like the last 15, 20 minutes of the episode. But in reality, like that was shot over several weeks and very scattered.
Oh,
And like
wow.
we'd visited on different days and it was all out of order. I think we filmed the stuff in the mind layer before we filmed the stuff in the graveyard. So yeah, it was kind of like all over the place, which is hard to keep track of for sure, just in terms of like where you are emotionally and like where your stamina is, and also like not getting too much too soon and kind of holding out and like wanting to kind of have like a progression as the scene intensifies. But luckily we were able to keep track of all of that, and it worked pretty well, I guess. But yeah, it was some of the like the longest but most fun days that I've had on set, and most draining but simultaneously creative fulfilling days that I've had. Just because you're playing with so much, you're playing with like the real kind of like more raw, intimate, like human feelings with the letter. And then once it kind of like switches to the supernatural, then it's like horror and whatnot. And then at the end, it's with the running and everything, it's so physical, but there's a lot of moving parts. But I think it was yeah, it was nice to see the final cut and to hear Kate Bush.
Yeah. Were they playing that song while you were performing, or is that just something added later?
I honestly, I can't remember if it was playing on the day. Maybe it was for a few takes. Sometimes there's music on set, like a lot of people are like fans of it. It's really helpful when you're doing horror stuff, when like you're supposed to be really scared and the stakes are super high, but you're looking at absolutely nothing and it's entirely made up of blue screens. So a lot of the times you'll play music to kind of like amp up your emotions. But I can't remember on the day like if it was playing. I want to say that it was, because you kind of have to.
So all that was, you said, shot over several weeks. It's really impressive that you can retain that, kind of keep a cohesive feel to the emotion. Like that's, to go back and revisit whatever it was when you're reading the letter and all these has to be a real challenge. Is there anything they do, the directors do, or that you do to kind of prepare and to get back into that mindset? Like you said, there's nothing, it's just green screen. There's no one like chasing you or like kind of inspiring you with, I don't know,
Yeah.
scary costume.
Well, Vecna was there. Vecna, like, all of what you're seeing was pretty much there. Like, I want to say it's like 90% practical effects. So, and Jamie, was in there, and he's brilliant and was like so in it all the time and like terrifying and just like the best scene partner ever, as horrifying as it was. But, so that was really amazing to have. But the one moment that was like the trickiest to film was this scene with Billy at the grave, because this was kind of when COVID was still a little rocky, and Dacre, the actor who plays Billy, lives in Australia, and going back and forth from the States to Australia is like, I don't know what the whole process was, but it was kind of impossible for him to get to the States. So they had like a stand-in, the stunt double dressed as him with like the wig and everything standing in for me. And so kind of like saying the lines with someone who was not Billy was a little bit of a challenge. And there were times where I'm like, how is this even gonna look? Like, is it gonna look real? Yeah, so to not have Dacre there was definitely the biggest challenge that I had to face in that sequence. But seeing it all put together at the end, I was like, oh my God, like, it looks like he was really there. It's amazing.
It really is. It's an amazing scene. And so I was going to ask you, in general, you watch the series, what's it like seeing it, piecing it together and then witnessing it with the sound effects and the visual effects and everything all amped up to 100? What's your reaction when you get to actually enjoy it and just take it in?
I mean, it's I feel like the music is really one of the biggest parts, because Stranger Things has one like the most incredible like soundtrack, and like the song choices are always just like spot on for whatever moment we're in. And then also like the score and the synth, the opening theme song, like watching when you're watching an episode for the first time and that like theme song starts to play, like the feeling that I feel like everyone gets when they watch it is, I don't know, like it takes you back to like the first time you ever watched the show. So it's it's really like rewarding and exciting to see how it all looks in the final cut.
Yeah, we never skip that theme song every
No.
time we play it.
That
You
like
have
the
to.
session theme song, like there's certain theme songs you just can't.
Yes, yeah. The Sopranos back in the day was another one. What's it like on set? What's the attitude like? You know, you said that you've got this great group of kids or well, young adults now. You know, what is it? Is it like a party or is it more nose to the grindstone?
I think, I mean, it depends on the day. It depends on the scene. There's certain times where it's like, okay, like where, you know, you have to focus. And then there's other times where it's a little bit more of like a lighthearted scene. And it's just so fun. Like we would bring like the board game, like Catan to set, and we play that and like a bunch of like stupid like iPhone games and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a really fun, supportive energy on set. And I think having that behind the screen helps like the overall like playfulness and the chemistry between all of the characters really come to life for the audience in the final version.
Yeah, it's one thing when I was worried when they introduced you, I was like, I don't know if we want new characters, but you know, minutes in, you're like, oh no, this works. You know, there's that great chemistry, and as they grow older, the chemistry it changes, but it almost improves. I think actually, it's been great, a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
How have the fans, like, what has the fan reaction been? Because you make people cry, scare them, they're cheering for you. What's it like to have that power to really affect people through your performance?
I mean, I really, it's pretty amazing to I honestly, like, I definitely watched episode 4, like that last scene, and I was definitely like, whoa, like this is intense. Like this turned out cool, but I didn't realize how much people were actually like going to like it and like really like be affected by it. So to kind of see that what we did was like moving people or like making them like on the edge of their seats, it's like, and just knowing that we did it right and did justice to like what Matt and Ross envisioned for the show is pretty amazing. But yeah, the overall reaction to the entire season has been overwhelmingly positive, and I think that it's amazing to see, especially after it's been years since our last season.
And are there any other favorite moments besides episode 4? Not just of this season, but of the series itself that you were part of that really stand out?
Yeah. I mean, some of my favorites are actually in volume 2, which I cannot say anything about, but other than that, I think the scene I really liked the scene between or all the scenes in general between me and the character Lucas, played by Caleb McLaughlin. I just thought that like it was really nice to kind of see that color of both of the characters, because they're in different places, and they're kind of I think Max is most herself when she's around Lucas, and the same goes for him. So anytime that we're watching them interact, I feel like is really, really special, and kind of heartbreaking this season, just seeing how much she's distanced herself from the person who could probably help the most.
And you Stranger Things, and you did the Fear Street series. Are you a fan of horror, or is it something that just like, you know, are you being chosen, or are you choosing these projects? I know the story behind Stranger Things now, but
yeah, I mean, it just kind of happened. I really there's a lot of horror out there right now. Like it's very big right now. So there's lots of options in terms of like projects and characters and within the horror genre. But I think I personally do not watch scary movies. It's like, it's never been my jam, but I love filming like horror scenes, especially because with Fear Street, I love that, like the physicality of it, and like, you know, fight sequences and stuff like that. That was something that I hadn't really done a lot of before. So I kind of wanted to like dip my toes in that. And I think that it definitely like prepped me for some of the more physical scenes that I had to do in season 4. So it's nice to have like those like learning experiences as I'm kind of, you know, growing as an actress.
You ever get nightmares or from any of this stuff, from making it itself?
No, I don't think so. Like, yeah, the most like of a like nightmare that I would get would just be like messing up or like falling or something like that. Like that's my version of a nightmare, I guess.
That's a pretty bad nightmare. At least it's not on Broadway, right?
That's oh yeah, that's true.
So you have coming up The Whale with Darren Aronofsky, Brendan Fraser, Samantha Morton. That's got to be quite exciting to be involved with a project of that stature. What's that like? How is there anything you could tell me about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the best experiences that I've had in like on a film before, because it was just Darren is obviously like a genius, and working with him, he's such an actor's director while also being such a visionary, and so working with someone like him was really incredible. And the way that we approached that project, we kind of treated it like a play. That was kind of Darren's intention, because The Whale is a play and he kind of wanted to honor that formula, I guess. So we had a rehearsal process, which really helped in terms of getting to know our characters and feeling really prepared when it was time to shoot it. And Brendan Fraser is like he's probably my favorite human ever, I think, and working with him was incredible. And yeah, I'm really excited for everyone to see it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's got buzz already, and it's not even out, or I don't think anyone's even seen anything, but maybe a couple of stills. So and are there any projects that you're looking forward to taking on in the future? This season and now The Whale have got to be opening doors for you. Is there anything that you'd like to do from more drama, stage, or even something, say, like a superhero film?
I mean, I would eventually I'd love to do like a little bit of everything. I would definitely like to do something in theater again soon, kind of like in the future or something. But I would love to kind of go back to that, because that's where everything was born, and like I would love to do that again. And I think more like dramas and stuff like that. Like I really liked doing The Whale, like stuff like that, and then also the moments in Stranger Things where it is just like a little bit more like grounded, and you're not as fun as Vecna is. Like I really liked the moments where like it was more like a kind of like a drama, or like a little bit more human. So yeah, I'd like to kind of do projects that revolve around that a bit more.
I look forward to seeing it all. And real quick one, 3 words to describe Max.
Oh, she is determined. She is mysterious, and I want to say, like, I'll just say closed off. I guess we'll go with just closed off, or like shielded. Yeah, something like that.
Guarded.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of this season, and thank you so much for taking the time, and best of luck going forward.
Thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you.